Actually, I decided to record finishing one of the leaves with the drawing, but I think it would be way too tedious for you to watch all of it. So we'll work on this main one. So ordinarily when I am drawing, I'm using at least 3 different, and this is what I'm talking about now, the kind of drawing I'm talking about now. I'm talking about kind of finished drawing, not just a sketch that you're going to use for something else, but you know, a drawing that you're going to use as a drawing. So I would use 3 pencils at least, and I really like these mechanical pencils, and I have different ones for different hardnesses of lead. So if you're not familiar with the leads, they're the harder leads are lighter, make a lighter mark, and the softer leads make a darker mark. The harder leads are H numbers, H, 2H, 3H, etc. And the softer numbers are 2B, 3B, 4B, so on. HB is kind of right in the middle between hard and soft, and it's pretty much it's hard to find a really wide range of mechanical pencil leads as far as the hardnesses goes. Like the hardest I've found, the softest I've found, excuse me, is 4B. And I know that people who draw as their main medium will use 6B, HB for really, really dark lines. But I have not found those in mechanical pencils, and I don't want to work with pencils that I'm sharpening all the time, so I make do with these. And I use H, HB, 2B, 3B, 4B. That's it. All right, so ordinarily I would start my drawing with an H pencil, which is what I have here. And I'm just giving these main veins some dimension with a double line. Excuse me. I'm going to switch over to my HB, and I'm just going to, there's some places where the edge is curling up a little bit, and I'm indicating that. A little bit of shading underneath. This tip is curving forward. Okay, let's decide on a light source. I think the light's going to be coming from this side. So we're going to have a shadow, a little bit of a shadow on this side of the vein. The leaves are generally flat, but they do have a little bit of dimension. Actually, that side would be lighter. The light's coming down from the top, then from here, then these would be maybe folded up just a tinge along the vein, which would make this part just above the vein and a slight shadow and a little furrow. Over here, I have the slight shadow above the vein as well. So you can see that by adding shadows, you can indicate the bending and rippling of the surface. All right, and I'm gonna have these, there's some dimension obviously to these leaves, so put just a little shadow along the bottom edge as though it's curving under a little bit. And especially around these dips in the lobes. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to go to my 2B. Now, when you're drawing, of course, you get darker or lighter lines depending on what type of lead you're using, but also depending on how hard you're pressing on your pencil. Okay. Now, I am going to take my H pencil. I'm going to take a really close look at this leaf. The back side can give you some hints, but we're drawing the front. So there's a lot of little veins coming off all those main veins. Let's draw those in lightly. Let's check and see what's going on the edges. Nothing specific that I could tell. Okay. Kind of tedious, obviously. We'll see if we think it does any good. It really adds anything. You know, sometimes it's just kind of nice to fool around and maybe you'll discover something you really like. And actually, I'll show you that in a minute. Something I found out from a little class I took from Ida Anderson Lang on drawing. And she just had this one technique that I had never done. And I tried it and I really liked it. So I'll show you, thanks to Ida. I'm going to strengthen this other side a little bit. So it doesn't need to be as dark as the one side, but like a little more. Okay. By the way, I often, with my drawing, I often use, and I will when I'm done with this, but use this Krylon workable fixative. If you're putting a lot of layers of pencil on your piece, you might be in danger of smudging. And if so, if there's a part that you're done with, like, for example, this leaf, I could say, to this stage, it's done. Now, I would get rid of this line for the moment. But you just put some paper towels or whatever around it, mask it off, and spray it with that fixative. And from then on, anything you put over the top of it, you're not going to be able, even if you erase as hard as you can, you're not going to be able to disturb this bottom layer. So that's really handy. So her technique is simply this kind of scribbling all over. And it's a way of darkening things, but doing it with text, by doing it at the same time you're increasing the texture in your piece, which is really a nice thing. So if I were using the fixative, I would have sprayed fixative on the leaf, and then I would have done this all over the leaf. And then if I wanted to come back and erase some of it for highlights like here, I could just erase it and you'd be back to these little veins. But I think it's better to do the whole piece. I mean, to fix the whole piece at a time, or you forget where you are. And anyway. I've been doing all the scribbling with a relatively hard pencil, an H, and now I'm switching to a softer pencil, a 2B, and I'm just adding some shading, little lines close to each other. The harder the pencil, the lighter it is when you smudge it, and likewise the softer the pencil, the more it will smudge. So I'm just using the softer lead, the darker lead, to strengthen, to add some shadows here and there, and maybe to strengthen the edges. The leaf is flat, however, it's not perfectly flat. There are undulations, little ups and downs. From the front of the leaf, the veins are inset. So I'm just adding shading where I think I need it to add a little bit of form to this leaf shape. Some more here. Teeny little eraser. And now I'm erasing some of the scribbling just to get a highlight. Always looking, thinking, evaluating what I want or need to do. So now I'm smudging both the scribbling and the shading to get a softer, more even look. Strengthening some of the outlines. Especially those indentations. You know, part of the time you're thinking about a faithful representation of the whatever it is you're drawing, and other times as you're drawing, you're just thinking about making a nice drawing, balancing value, contrast, so on. It's part of what I'm doing here. Pretty good. So like I said earlier, I'm going to work on the rest of it, and I will be back to share what I did and with some final thoughts. So I hope you've enjoyed this so far, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.